Hello everyone. Our today's topic of discussion is conjoint analysis. The last topic that we discussed was market basket analysis. And today we are going to discuss another important topic in marketing research, and that is conjoint analysis. Have you ever thought what type of biscuits do customers prefer? Which flavor goes well with the customers? Are customers price conscious when it comes to buying biscuits? The answer lies not only in consumer psychology but also in analytics. One essential area which is a part of consumer psychology is understanding what does a consumer looks for while buying a particular product. How does the consumer value different attributes like function, benefit, features, etc. while purchasing a product? Conjoint analysis approach is used by the marketers to analyze these issues, these problems. Let us now understand what conjoint analysis is. Conjoint analysis or trade-off analysis is a popular method for predicting how people make complex choices. Conjoint asks people to make trade-offs just like they do in their daily lives. You can then figure out what elements are driving people's decisions by observing their choices. Conjoint analysis involves presenting people with choices and then analyzing what were the drivers for those choices. Conjoint analysis is a multivariate research analysis used in market research that helps understand how people value different attributes like feature, function, benefits, etc. that make up an individual product or service. Conjoint analysis is used to understand the importance of different product features as well as to determine how decisions are likely to be influenced by the inclusion, exclusion, or degree of that feature. In essence, conjoint analysis is all about features and trade-offs. Let us now discuss the principles of conjoint analysis. The principles behind conjoint analysis starts with breaking a product or service down into its constituent part. Then testing the combination of these parts in order to find out what customers prefer. Now, with experimental design and statistical analysis, value or utility score of each part of product's contribution to the consumer decision can be worked out. Let us now discuss benefits of conjoint analysis. One of the most important benefits of conjoint analysis is the ability to develop market simulation models that can predict consumer behavior to product changes. With conjoint analysis, changes in market or product can be incorporated into the simulation to predict how consumer would react to changes. Another benefit of conjoint analysis is that it segments a larger chunk of target market into smaller chunks on the basis of the results of the survey. Another benefit of conjoint analysis is, and this is even more important than others, that it is effectively used for competitive analysis like profitability analysis. It is a very vital tool to understand the brand value and makes it easy to understand how the market share is impacted. Let us now discuss the types of conjoint analysis. We are going to discuss two types of conjoint analysis. One is choice-based conjoint analysis, that is CBC, and the other is adaptive conjoint analysis, that is ACB. Now starting with the choice-based conjoint analysis, that is CBC. Choice-based conjoint analysis is preferred over other types of conjoint analysis in many cases. This type of conjoint analysis is used in determining the price of a service or product in relation to the attributes or functions. CBC is effective when the acquired data is concrete, such as various product attributes that influence each other, or when it concerns price, Choice-based conjoint analysis is usually limited to approximately 8 attributes. Now, coming on to the adaptive conjoint analysis, that is ACB. When the number of attributes is higher than 8, an adaptive conjoint analysis or ACA can be more useful. An ACA utilizes the same overcharging principle as a CBC analysis, but differs significantly in terms of subject, implementation and analysis. Where the CBC gives respondent the choice between multiple products that are described by means of a set of attributes, the ACA gives a description with all the attributes as pairs, the aforementioned cards. The advantage is that a large number of characteristics can be used up to as much as 30 attributes each with 7 levels. We will now discuss different technical terms being used in conjoint analysis. Some of the important terms that we are going to discuss in this connection are attribute. Number 1 is attribute, number 2 it is level, and number 3 it is part worth utilities. Now we shall understand what these terms mean. What is an attribute? An attribute is a characteristic of a product. Sometimes it is referred to as a factor. In our example, it could be appearance, feature, brand and price. Now let us come on to the another term called level. What is a level? The different measurement being used for each attribute may be called a level. For example, above rupees 1000 or above rupees 999, rupees 550 or rupees 1000 or 1100. These are the level of pricing that we are going to test, say for in an example. Now let us come on to the most important term in our example, in our presentation, and this is the part worth utilities. One of the most valuable outcomes of a conjoint analysis survey is part worth utility. This data reveals the extent to which each level contributes to the whole utility of a product. Let us now discuss various steps involved in conjoint analysis. I have tried to make things simple as much as I could. There are various steps involved in conjoint analysis. Number one step is product or services attributes should be selected. For example, it could be size, appearance, price, functionality, user friendliness, etc. Number 2, each attribute should be assigned a value. These values of these attributes will represent the variance available in each of these attributes. For example, for the attribute of size of the option available could be 5 inch, 10 inch or 15 inch. Higher value on the scale represent more importance attached to a particular attribute. Number 3, product or service should be defined as a combination of all the varying attributes. Number 4, the combination through which products are being represented must now be represented through visual diagrams or description. Next, we come on to the step number 5. It must be determined how the results and answers from the respondent will be aggregated. Decision makers are faced with 3 choices at this stage. Number 1, individual responses could be used. Next, the result could be aggregated to represent a single utility function, or the respondents could be divided into subgroups. Now let us come on to the final step. How decision makers at this stage should select the technique. Actually, at this stage, the decision maker are faced with the step of selecting the technique they will be employing to process, organize and analyze the data so that meaningful information could be drawn. Now there are various popular method There are various methods, and a popular method to represent varying attributes is part-worth model. Alternatively, there are so many other models like vector model or ideal point model, which would also be used. We'll now discuss some of the important considerations used in our conjoint analysis. These are: number 1, defining the total utility of the product. Number 2 is specifying the determinant factors. We shall discuss these one by one. Let us now discuss what do we mean by defining the total utility of the object. It is the researcher must be first sure to define the total utility of the object. To represent the respondent's judgment process accurately, all attributes that potentially create or detract from the overall utility of the product should be included. It is essential that both positive and negative factors be considered. Second point is specifying the determinant factors. The researcher must also be sure to include all the determinant factors. The goal is to include the factors that best differentiate between the objects. The researcher should always strive to identify the key determinant variable because they are pivotal in the actual judgment decision. Let us now understand how the results of the conjoint analysis are to be interpreted. There is one method called disaggregate analysis which is widely used. The customary approach to interpreting conjoint analysis is disaggregate analysis. That is, each respondent is modeled separately and the results of the model are examined for each respondent. The most common method of interpretation is an examination of the part-worth estimate for each factor, assessing their magnitude and pattern for both practical relevance as well as correspondence to any theory-based relationship among labels. The higher the part-worth, the more impact it has on overall utility. Thus, conjoint analysis as a technique of multivariate analysis is able to infer the true value structure that influences consumer decision making. It determines respondents' preference for a product or service or a concept or idea. As a measure of psychological attributes, it measures the psychological judgment between choices of alternatives available. Thank you for watching the video.